It's a beautiful morning in Cut Bank, Montana. Cut Bank is about, I'd say we're about 30 miles from the Canadian border. And we're about 30 miles from Glacier National Park. Glacier National Park, about, I guess, 50% of it isn't even open yet because the snow hasn't melted, because apparently they got dumped on over the winter. Like, they're telling me they were close to getting it to open, and then it snowed another foot and a half like a couple days ago, and they had an avalanche. So, we're headed on out. I mean, if you're trying to beat some of the seasons here early in some of these parks, you're so dependent on how the winter went and how the spring's going to go. I mean, I got lucky with Denali because they had just opened when I got there. Glacier's another one of those. If you want to be one of the people who like get there early, hopefully beat some of the crowds, you're hoping for some good weather. Okay, off we go. Montana. I do love Montana. And here we are, off in the good old big sky country, the good old US of A, Montana. You can already see kind of the plains leaving Cut Bank, which is a nice little small town. I like it. And it's just open plains, big sky country. We're back in Montana, and of course, we're on the Lewis and Clark Trail. That trail just cuts through a big portion that you're going to see signs for it here and there that you can just kind of do it. And I was happened to be headed towards one of the more auspicious occasions of the Lewis and Clark Trail, and I'll bump into it shortly. That landscape. It's mostly rural farmland, but a few oil derricks you can see occasionally. Like there's a few off in that distance. One over there, they're pumping away. Oil or natural gas, I'm not really sure. But here, signs of home. Now, if the grass wasn't so large, we could probably see the rocks of this teepee ring. Let's see here. Oh, here. Oh, there they are. Okay, so I guess apparently there was a teepee ring, like who knows how many years ago there was a teepee there. Teepee, of course, American Indians, and according to the sign, were owned by women. So the woman would own the teepee, take 20 buffalo hides to make a teepee, and they were property of the women, and I don't know, and the women were the property of the men or something like that, probably. What happened to the Two Medicine fight site? Wolf Camp, one Blackfeet Indian survivor, had vivid recollection. His encampings were both surprised and frightened when they saw Lewis and his men, Lewis and Clark, because I'm on the Lewis and Clark Trail, but decided to act in a friendly fashion for at least a short time. Both parties descended to the Two Medicine River camp evening of 1806. Next morning, Joseph Field carelessly laid his gun aside. One of the young Indians took up the weapon, an act that would win power in his tribe, but signaled to the other Indians to take the expedition's guns. When one of the expedition members saw Blackfeet trying to escape with the guns and horses, a fight ensued. No duh. Side Hill Calf was overtaken by Reuben Fields and killed in the struggle. Another young Blackfoot man was shot in the stomach, and what happened to him was unknown. Probably died. Medicine was terrible in those age, and Indian medicine was probably even worse than what Lewis and Clark had. And his men from his corporate discovery through the area in 1806, the journeymen encountered Blackfeet American Indians, Two Medicine River, blah blah blah. Party awoke to discover. Yep. Yep. No, they had a little fight. One Indian killed, well, probably two Indians killed, one severely wounded, because they tried to take their guns and Indians. Apparently that had another perspective. What happened? Lewis's, on July 1st, the river site, there was an exchange of gifts, smoking and talk. After much smoking and tobacco, Lewis posted a guard and retired for the night. On the morning, Lewis and his companions' weapons were taken. The act of the Indian gave the Indians power in their tribe. The ensuing struggle. A soldier stabbed a warrior who fell dead. Just as Lewis retrieved his rifle, he saw two Indians to drive off his horses. He sprinted after the Indians. One turned to shoot, and one shot him in the stomach. Yeah, I mean, well, the account seems pretty simple, is that the Indians tried to steal some guns and horses, which was a symbol of power in their tribe. And Lewis and Clark, I mean, the funny thing is I was reading in the Lewis and Clark thing a couple years ago, one of their things, that they had a number of their horses stored just as they started off. And, you know, remember, losing their guns and horses would be like kind of a suicide. So, yeah, okay. Oh, and you can see the mountains in the background. They're kind of covered up. I mean, from the weather report, Glacier National Park is not having a good day if you're there. But for the most part, Montana is glorious. It's just big sky country. I almost wanted to go into Glacier National Park, but they were getting dumped on with snow because of you know, kind of a winter that just kept hanging there. They got absolutely drenched with snowfall during the winter, and it continued well into the spring. So hey, you know, that's what it is. You know, couldn't go into it. But as for it is, we're moving on through Montana. Montana is absolutely gorgeous, and I was headed towards Great Falls, Montana. Great Falls, Montana is actually where the Lewis and Clark museum is, and I was headed towards there, and I'll put some video up later about going through it. It was a fun time, and Great Falls itself is well known for the fact that it has 5 waterfalls. Eagle. As you can see here, one of the falls. This is the uppermost falls of Great Falls of the Missouri, of the Great Falls region of Missouri. This right here. Obviously, they have it dammed up now, so they can control it. The other 4 are that way. There's a grand total of 5. I might have said 4 before. Grand total of 5. I believe there's only one falls that isn't dammed up now. So this is just one of the 5. To see the other 4, obviously you got to travel down. I guess to see the best of it, you have to go across that bridge way in the distance and then travel on down. But I don't know. This is kind of good enough for me. It's nice. I mean, this put a real kink in Lewis and Clark's expedition, because they thought they just had to traverse 1 falls, and then it turned out 5, so they had to do something like 18 miles of carrying their boats over land, which took them, like, they thought would be a day. It took them a month. And right here in Great Falls. Great thing, great scenic. Woo! And you're in the middle of a city right here. So, there's of course a nature path. I don't know, I live near Niagara Falls. It's kind of hard to get excited. This is called Black Eagle because there was a black eagle here when Lewis and Clark got here, and it had its nest by those falls. A Montana rest area. The reason I stopped here was not to rest, but to allow some weather, which is just up ahead, to pass on by of where I'm about to ride through. So if I stay here a few minutes, I don't get rained on, versus if I do, I plow through it. I mean, it's just happening to be crossing perpendicular from where I'm going, so I'd rather avoid the weather where possible. And those posed a major problem for Lewis and Clark, because you know, you have to walk your boats around the falls because you can't just keep going up the river. And so that's what they had to do, and it was a major bump in their road as they were kind of doing it. So Great Falls, headed up there. I mean, a lot of this stuff was absolutely dominated by the Lewis and Clark and just kind of the history in general. But more often than not, it's good to be back in the United States and just kind of cruising on out into the open plains, headed out into, well, you know, this is the open country, and I absolutely adore Montana. It's a great place, good people, very open, wilderness, big sky. This is Montana.
Right here is giving the kind of the brief history. Used to be very huge with buffalo, lots of Indians living around here. Then, you know, Indians segregate to the reservations, you know, and then the cattle came in because the buffalo were gone. So it's been a big, huge cattle thing. Campground and rust area. That confused me for a little bit.